Local Legends is about people, places, and history from Fairfield and surrounding areas that have achieved legendary status. We have an amazing community and are proud to share it with you. We hope you enjoy. With over 50 years in the music industry, my next guest is easily a local legend. Please welcome Jeff Trager. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm blessed. I can't complain.
Good.
So, tell us about how you started in the music industry.
It's kind of funny. When I grew up in born and raised in San Francisco, and I got a job. I wasn't a good student, and even though my father was a school principal in San Francisco, I go out to state college and I try to study, and I just couldn't concentrate. I was really into music. And I'd last about 10 minutes, and I'd go into the canteen and throw quarters in and look for songs.
Right.
And so I got a job because that's the only way I was going to stay at home. My dad said, you go to school, get a job, and you can stay there for free. I said, cool. So I got a job as a bellboy at a hotel on Van Ness called the Jack Tar Hotel. And all the teams used to stay there. Well, first of all, it was great because you get to meet people, new people every day, and it was great to find yourself and how you want to be treated, and I was curious where people were from, and so I'd meet the most interesting people. I'd meet Jack Nicklaus before he turned professional. I met George Halas, who happened to be the owner of the Chicago Bears. He was legendary NFL owner. I meet all the ball players. I met Little Richard. I met Buddy Rich, the great drummer. I met James Brown.
No, come on now. How was that meeting the Godfather of Soul?
Well, James had this thing. He'd pull up in a Greyhound bus, because that's how they used to travel in those days. And James would come in. They were playing in Oakland, so they stayed at this hotel. And so I got to meet all the guys that were hanging around the front door from the band. And one of them said, "Watch James, because he likes to skip out on the bill." So here comes James. James comes off the elevator and doesn't head for the checkout. He heads straight for the Greyhound bus, and just like his guys were telling me. So the the assistant manager comes up to me and says, "You know those people. Go in and I said, "What do you mean those people?" "Oh, the black people, huh? So you want me to go on the bus and go get the money?" He says, "Sure." I says, "I got no problem." So I walk in the bus, I go all the way to the back, and nobody's saying a word, and there's James and Wayne. "Yeah, can I help you?" I says, "James, you forgot to pay the bill." "I thought I told somebody to take care of that." So he pulled out $3,500. $100 bills. I get off him, now I'm a hero. And it's just ironic is when I got into the record business, one of the record companies that I was working for, James was recording for. So he'd come into San Francisco and we do TV shows, and great entertainer. Great, one of the all-time.
Legendary.
Yeah. I mean, there's a small handful of really, really great ones. Sammy Davis Jr. was great. Jackie Wilson was great. People like that. Prince was great. Stevie Wonder. There was a guy named Donny Hathaway.
Donny
Donny
a
Hathaway.
Song for You. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a great writer. When I say genius, I mean somebody who writes and arranges, sings, performs.
All of it.
Yeah.
So is that what separates a good artist from a great artist in your opinion, or what does?
Well, I think that the material that they're producing, songs, great songwriter separates everybody.
Right.
Okay, it's hard to write it's hard to write a great song. It just is. That's in the fact that somebody also plays music, a lot of instruments and arranges and gets it. Ray Charles is another one.
Right.
Ray Charles changed music because he went from being one of the greatest soul singers, you know, when he was doing What I Say,
right,
to country music. You just don't do that, you know?
Right. So artists that transcend certain genres.
Yeah, and Ray Charles was one of them. Curtis Mayfield was another one. You know,
Curtis Mayfield was, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at his body of work, that tells you just how great they are as an artist. There's a young girl in Vallejo, actually. Her name is Gabby Wilson, but she goes under the name of H.E.R.
That's right. Yeah, she went to Green Valley for a little bit of time with me and my friend Jordan Skillman and Minika Papa and all of them. Yeah, she's good people.
If she, you know, she's written over 100 and something, almost 200 songs. And if she continues to write good material, she'll have a 30-year career. Right now, she's the biggest thing, hottest thing out there.
Right.
Amazing. She plays 4 instruments. She plays bass, guitar, she plays piano, she plays drums. She
can do it all.
She does it all. Well, let's see, you know, let's see how, you know, in 10 years where she's at. But right now, she's doing great. But how I got in the record business,
yeah,
I kind of
right.
moved away from it. But I had a friend of mine I got to know, and he was, at the time, he was the senator of California. His name was George Moscone. And George he used to get his haircut there, and I used to go down to a club in San Francisco, and we go see music and listen to music. I took him to see Stan Getz, and I took him to see, he says, I want to see Ike and Tina Turner. Afterwards, George says, you know, I see that you really love music, and you have a knack. You just, I don't know, you just have a good knack. I says, what you're doing now is just a means to an end. I says, I'm going to call a friend of mine who you might have heard of. His name is Herb Alpert. I said, I'm going to see if I can get you a job. And he got me a job. I got it in one day. I went down to Alpert's office in Los Angeles, met with somebody, and then they brought me into Herb Alpert's office, introduced me, and I walked in there, and there was Quincy Jones, there was George Benson, there was a guy named Antonio Carlos Jobim who wrote many bossa nova songs, but including Girl from Ipanema.
Okay.
And then there was a little writer that was there named Paul Williams, who wrote a lot of songs for the Carpenters. And I'm standing there, and I'm saying to myself, Jesus, a week ago I was a bellboy.
It's crazy how how it can change.
Yeah, and people say, how'd you get in the record business? It was as simple as that.
Right.
You meet, it's who you know, it's circumstances, it's timing, it's whatever you want to call it, but that's what it was.
So with all these great people, all these great artists, you got Quincy Jones, Ike and Tina Turner, James Brown, all these people. Do you have a favorite artist that you ever worked with?
I love Tina. I love Tina because she was a woman that raised 4 kids in the middle of her career, and all that chaos that went with her husband.
Right. And
I admired her greatly because, you know, here was somebody, you know, I mean, she was great. She was, you know, she wrote a couple songs, but she could dance. The difference between her and Whitney was Whitney never wrote any songs. Whitney never danced, but she could sing.
Right.
Incredible voice. But Tina, that was all her. It was raw. It was real.
Right.
And every time she performed, I'd go. She give you chills.
She mesmerized you.
Sure, you know. And she was, man. She worked her tail off in the middle of all that.
That's ridiculous.
And it's funny when she and Ike's when she got out of the situation with Ike, nobody would sign her. Nobody would sign her. A friend of mine, she walked into Capitol Records, and he was head of the artist development, A&R. And he says, "I love you. I think you're great. I heard that song you did. It was happened to be the song that I broke called 'I've Been Loving You Too Long.'"
Right.
That Otis Redding wrote. And he says, "I got some songs for you, and I'm going to try to sign it." And he did. And one of the two of the songs were "Private Dancer" and "What's Love Got to Do with It."
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, of all the artists, I think anybody that impressed me the most, it was Tina.
Because of the turmoil that she went through and how she just rose above everything.
Yeah, she was quite a performer. I mean, I met some really, really nice people.
Right.
You know, and became very good friends with, and there's a lot of good people in this business, you know.
Yeah.
Some of them are, some aren't, you
Right.
know.
But that's life.
Yes, Gene Simmons from Kiss was another one. Gene Simmons was probably the smartest guy that I've ever met.
Really?
Yeah, Gene Simmons knew how to market himself. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, what he did, he put on costumes and he sang some rock and roll songs, whatever. They sold millions, but he was nice to people. And before the shows, we'd have contest winners, and he would, just the way he treated them, made him feel comfortable. You know, before he would go on in front of 18,000 people.
Right.
The other guys that were really nice, especially, was Barry Gibbs. And they came into San Francisco just before they did that movie, The Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
And I asked them to go up to Children's Hospital in San Francisco, you know, in Potrero.
That's right.
And so Barry Gibbs goes, "Sure." So they went up there, Christmas time, and the day before they're supposed to play Oakland Coliseum, and they sang Christmas carols to the kids.
That's beautiful.
I'm telling you, everybody was crying. It was really something. So those are great moments for me to, you know, backstage with Tina, her thanking me for breaking her record. Those things, I changed their whole lives. You know, that's what I did was I was a record promotion guy.
Right.
And I started breaking records. I had a good ear for music. I broke Moody Blues, Nice and White Satin. That was a different kind of a record. Then I broke Ike and Tina Turner's I've Been Loving You Too Long. In those days, radio stations were only playing 4 or 5 black records. That's just the way it was. When Berry Gordy started Motown, he changed the whole thing.
Right. The whole landscape of the music industry.
But see, the pop stations never played artists like Ike and Tina Turner.
Right.
They were playing, sometimes they play Sam Cooke, they would play Al Green, they play James Brown once in a while, the Chubby Checker, you know.
Right.
But a lot of the black artists were not getting the proper due, and to be able to perform their own record, they were having white artists sing
The black artist songs.
Yeah,
yes.
written by, you know, Pat Boone.
Right.
That's, you know.
And the thing about it is, you talked about so many great moments, and we have more great moments coming up. But we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Are you curious how the City of Fairfield delivers critical services to you? Have you ever wondered who does that job? Find out by joining Fairfield Civic Academy, a free 8-session program that gives you first-hand exposure to the inside of the city departments serving you and your family. If you live or work in Fairfield, apply by January 8th. Spring session starts February 12th. Get to know us. We want to know you.
And we're back. I'm here with Jeff Trager. Mr. Trager, what brought you to Fairfield?
I took the wrong off-ramp. No, I was doing marketing. I was doing marketing for, one of the things I used to do is I used to follow a lot of my songs that got on the radio, see how they were doing. So I was always into how well the albums, singles were selling.
Right.
So I started doing marketing for Tower Records because I knew the owner, Russ Solomon, very well. So I'm living in San Francisco, and somebody brought me to this golf course in Fairfield called Green Valley.
Right.
So I joined the club, and I drive up from San Francisco, and Tower's office happened to be in Sacramento. So I says, okay, here's Green Valley, okay, and here's Tower in Sacramento. I might as well move to Fairfield.
Right.
You know, I mean, we used to drive by Fairfield, and we'd go, what's there?
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. You're going up 80, and you don't think about things like that. So I moved up here, and then I found that this is absolutely a beautiful area. It's one of the. It's actually a secret, because all my friends from the city never heard of Green Valley. But if you drive around, you find out how beautiful this area is, the mountains, and it's different,
Right.
It's a little hotter.
Yeah.
Because when I left San Francisco, it wasn't even 70 degrees, and I got up here, and it was 107, and I says, man, I ain't gonna make it. But that was just a freak day. So that's how I found this place.
So you're here in Fairfield.
Yeah.
Who was the greatest talent to ever come around this Fairfield or surrounding area?
Well, Herbie Hancock played here. Of all the people that I saw or knew about, Herbie Hancock was probably the most successful to me. Dave Mason played in Fairfield. I started bringing in a lot of R&B acts here in the last couple of years. I started doing shows at the Downtown Theater about 4 years ago. The woman, Day Spearing, who brought that theater back to life when it was closed, allows me to do my shows there. So I do different kinds of shows. That's what I want to do. This is a really diverse market. There's a lot of Hispanics, a lot of Filipinos.
That's right.
Certainly not of African Americans. This is just a melting pot.
Right.
It allows you to do different kinds of show. I've done tributes to Brazil '66 for different. But I most of my success just happened to be with rhythm and blues bands. It just, the groups that I had, I worked with Peaches and Herb, I worked with Cameo, I worked with Confunction, I worked with A guy named Roy Ayers, great vibe player, wrote
Countless songs.
Yeah, every day. I'm trying to think what. Everybody Loves the Sunshine.
Oh, yeah.
And so those are the kind of acts that I started to bring in. I brought in Confunction, and then I brought in the Delphonics last year, and then I brought in the Ohio Players, and then probably for me the most satisfying act that I've ever brought in was the Count Basie Orchestra, because they are the standard.
Yes.
Okay, and then after that, and I got to get the kids from the school district that were available to come to the rehearsal, and the band played for them, and also brought them up on stage and talked to them. And
what's that like to hear that level of music?
Well, I understand it, you know, and I don't know, I'm not sure if the kids did, but the fact that these guys took the time to say, what instrument do you play, you know, and answer any of their questions, you know, it was, I mean, I just went, this is, there's moments in 50 years that stand out, and the Bee Gees was one of them, just to be part of that. And to sit back and see the greatest big band, you know, in the business, in the world, allow the kids to come up on stage and do that for them. That was kind of, so I brought in Jackie Green out of Sacramento, who took Jerry Garcia's place, plays with Phil Lesh. He's terrific. I've been able to bring in, I've been doing fundraisers for Crystal Middle School for their music program I've done 5 of them. So each year I would bring in a different friend of mine.
Right.
So I brought in one of the founding members of Santana, Michael Carabello. And then the next year first year I brought in Jamie Davis from the Count Basie Orchestra with a big band, and that was done at Solano College.
Right.
And that was terrific. And then the next year I brought in Gregorico, who was this original drummer with Sly and the Family Stone. And he says, why don't we get the kids to come up and sing Everyday People? That was very cool. Because those kids probably didn't understand what they were singing and what the lyrics meant, you know?
Right.
But it was very cool.
Now, you've put on all these great concerts and like fundraisers. You've raised money for autism. You even raised money. I read that you raised money for a friend who was he had a charge, and you raised money for him. You helped send an attorney over there to get him out. So you tell us a little about that story, just a little bit.
Well, a friend of mine was in jail in Spain on trumped up drug charges, whatever. So I needed to get him out. He was a friend of mine.
Of course.
So I threw this fundraiser in San Francisco at a place called the Family Dog, which is where Playland used to be in San Francisco.
Oh, man.
We did 3,500 people on a Monday night.
Did you expect that?
Yeah, because I was born and raised in San Francisco.
That's right.
I have a lot of friends, and I have a lot of friends in radio, and a lot of these guys. The night before, Elton John was performing with my headliner. He was the opening act. It was a group called Mark Almond. And so I told Bill Graham, I says, I'm not going to mention who's playing. But the guys on the radio started to talk about it because I knew them.
Right.
The guys on the radio. So anyway, we did 3,500 people. On a Monday night, Bill Graham was so mad at me. He threw me out of all his venues for a year.
Oh.
And I needed that because it's, you know.
Right.
But we eventually, I started touting him on who should be on Day in the Green. So we became very good friends. Bill Graham was the guy that I emulate or want to be like, because his shows, when you walk out, you go, I got my money's worth. That was a great show.
Right.
That was it. He was the guy, and to work with him was really something. And then I started doing a lot of fundraising. I had back in the 80s, I had an alcohol abuse and substance abuse problem. So I went into rehab, and when I got out, golf saved me because I had, 4 hours to.
And golf is here.
Golf. Well, golf is everywhere.
It's everywhere,
Golf has
yeah.
taken me all over the world,
Right.
But I started doing a lot of fundraisers. My father taught me about things like that, giving back. So I got opportunities, so I did it. And I had a friend of mine whose son's autistic, so we did a show called Voices of Latin Rock. We do it in San Francisco every year, and we there was a book called Voices of Latin Rock. We took that, and then we honored all the Hispanic groups, the original Santana and Malo, Los Lobos.
Yeah.
We started with El Chicano, and then we'd honor different Hispanic pioneers like Dolores Huerta, who marched with Cesar Chavez, and we had her come up, and then we honored Richie Valens' family, which was very cool. Richie was legendary, pioneer for rock and roll. Just happened to be Hispanic, so we'd honor different artists and people who had contributed to the scene. So I said, well, why don't we just open it up to the whole era?
Right.
So I brought in Booker T, Lenny Williams. Lenny Williams from
can sing.
Eastridge,
Right.
Fairfield. Lenny Williams was the lead singer for Tower Power. He had more hits for them than anybody. And Lenny performed. We had War. We had Sheila E. We had Pete Escovedo. We had an all-star of guys from Tower Power, all-star bands.
Right.
Made up of all these great groups, which was really something. And one night, we had Los Lobos playing with Jackie Green, and it was hot. And in the back door walks George Clinton and Sly. Now this is an older Sly.
Right, but still.
And Sly didn't want to go on stage. George Clinton did. And here's Los Lobos playing, and George Clinton's doing Tear the Sucker Down, and he grabs Sly and he goes, get out here. And so Sly jumped behind the piano and
did his thing
for about 5 minutes. That was good enough.
Right. And the thing about music, the thing I love about music, that it's all about feeling and passion, and it's also about timing too. And it's time for us to take a quick break. We'll be right back right after this.
The best part of my job is working with the public. I get to meet people every day, also working with my fellow coworkers. It's a happy environment that I truly enjoy. And what more can I say? It's a great place to work here for the city of Fairfield.
Back in Studio 26, and it's Local Legends with Jeff Trager. Now, you've been in the industry since Woodstock. How has the music changed? How has music changed specifically, like in one aspect, how has it changed since then?
Well, it's changed quite a bit
Right.
with the advent of the internet, we lost Tower Records because the kids stopped going in, because they had Napster, and you could get music downloaded for free. I think the record business killed itself by doing away with the single, raising the prices and stuff like that. Record companies are going away, but it's giving the young kids a chance to go in and cut their own stuff. You know, go into their bedroom and make music.
Right.
Before, you had to sign with a record company to get on the radio or get your music out there. There are really good artists today. They're all over the place. It's just that radio's changed.
Right.
Radio stations, the good radio stations have gone away.
Why is that?
It's they're owned by corporations. They got a place. It's just different. Everything's different. You know, when I was in the music business, you had jazz stations and you had different kinds of jazz stations. You had great R&B stations.
Right.
You had stations that would play just about anything, which opened your mind to all kinds of music. They don't exist anymore. You know, it's not to say that music is any worse. It's just different, just like anything else. It changes. You know, what I listen to and what I like is not what the kids of today do.
Right.
Doesn't mean that it's theirs. I had my music. They've got theirs. I'm not gonna, say this. I do think that there's a lack of great songwriters. I don't hear any Stevie Wonders. You know, I don't hear any Paul Simons. I don't hear any Ray Charles stuff. I just think that's a big difference. Is that I don't hear the quality of the songs. I think too much stuff that is on the radio sounds the same, and that's what I don't like. See, and when I'd listen to groups like Jimi Hendrix, I'd listen to Buffalo Springfield, I'd listen to Jefferson Airplane, I'd listen to different, there was so much more. Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I mean, these are really great writers.
Yeah.
I listen to what I want now, which is good. Thank God for Pandora and Spotify.
Thank God.
Bingo, in the middle of the night, I'll Alexa, play this. That's cool.
Right.
We didn't have that, so things change.
Right.
It's like I say, like sports. Kids what I think kids are lacking today is knowing who was there before them. Knowing who all those great artists I mentioned, going back and finding out who they were. If it's baseball, how many of them really know how great Willie Mays was? Okay?
Right, unless they go on YouTube and look him up. They wouldn't know.
They should.
Right.
This was a special, before, it was all about Michael for a while, Michael Jordan,
Right.
But before that, there was a guy named Elgin Baylor, and there was Bill Russell, and there was Will Chamberlain.
Kareem.
Kareem. A lot of kids think the world started and ended with Shaquille O'Neal. Well, wait a minute. Wait a second.
Yeah, Kareem Skyhook was unstoppable.
Kareem, yeah, but he was an exceptionally great basketball player.
You had talked about younger artists and how a lot of people aren't signing now. If you had to give advice to someone who wanted to break out in the music industry and all the marketing that had to go along with it, what advice would you give them?
Don't give up your dream. Stay in school if you can. Stay in school, but don't think that you're going to jump up on the stage of the Apollo or the Fillmore just like that. You have to work at it. Just don't think it's easy. It's not. You gotta You got to be great. No, you got to be greater than great to make it. You know, this girl, Gabby Wilson. She got it, and she worked at it.
Right.
And look at her now. You know, kids, you can't take the easy way out. You have to earn it. You know, some of them have this knack of having it, but most it's hard work.
Right.
So yeah, if you can stay in school, do that. You can make your own record. It's yours. It's a painting. You could press it up and hand it out to your friends. It's yours. You created it. You know. So I think that's cool. You know, just be realistic. You know.
Because there is no shortcut to success.
No, but just don't give up. Just keep on trying, and more importantly, enjoy yourself while you're doing it. You know, I think you see too much on television how easy it is.
Right.
You know, it's not. It's you know, but it's a wonderful life. You know, a lot of them, they all want to have that. Sure, I wanted to play in the NBA. Someone stole my legs. I should, you know. Actually, I'm 7'4", but somebody stole my legs.
Right.
You know. But I had dreams, and I think kids should not give up those dreams. Because why? You know, who said who said you can't dream? No. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful to be creative, whether it's painting or it's writing a song
or anything.
It's yours. They can't take that away from you.
Wise words from a wise man. Mr. Trager, thank you so much for being here with us on Local Legends. Thank you for taking the time out, for talking with me and the rest of us, and I really just appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, this is Local Legends, and I'm your host, Frank Jefferson, and we'll see you next time.